Welcome to the Explainer. You know, we're surrounded by stuff, but have you ever really stopped to think about how it all gets made? Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the secrets of production, and we're going to start with, well, a bit of a crisis.
Okay, so I want you to imagine something. You've poured your heart and soul into your small biscuit company, and then, bam, overnight you go viral. I mean, orders are flooding in. Your phone is literally melting. Your biggest dream just became, well, a total nightmare. What do you do? I mean, what do you do right now to keep from drowning?
All right, so to figure out how our biscuit company can solve this mess, we first need to understand the basic recipe behind, well, pretty much every business.
So have you ever really wondered how a business makes something? I mean, anything at all. It might seem super complicated, but it turns out, whether you're a farmer in a paddy field, a giant car factory, or our little biscuit shop, you're all following the same basic blueprint.
It really breaks down into a simple three-step process. First, you've got your inputs. This is all your raw stuff, right? Your labor, the people, your capital, the ovens in the building, and of course the raw materials like flour and sugar. Then comes the transformation process. For us, that's the mixing, the baking, all the magic that turns that stuff into, well, step 3, the outputs, your final product. In our case, a whole lot of delicious and suddenly very popular biscuits.
So this whole process, from stuff to things, there's a name for it, of course. It's called production. And honestly, it is the fundamental engine of our entire economy. It's how we get everything we want and need.
Okay, let's get back to our biscuit company, which is still in crisis mode. They've got this immediate problem, right? The flood of orders. But they also have to think about the future. And this is where things get interesting, because you're dealing with two totally different timelines.
In economics, we talk about the short run and the long run. The short run is basically the, oh my gosh, what can we do right now phase. It's all about quick fixes with what you've got. The long run? Well, that's where the big plans come in. That's when you have the time to really change things up.
So in the short run, our panicked biscuit maker can only really mess with what we call variable inputs. Think of these as the dials you can turn up or down really fast. You can hire a few more workers, right? You can definitely order more flour and sugar. You can even run a second or third shift. You're basically just pranking your existing kitchen up to 11.
But what you can't do, you can't change your fixed inputs. You can't just snap your fingers and have a bigger factory appear. You can't install a giant, new, super efficient oven by tomorrow. Those things are locked in, at least for now. They're big, heavy decisions that take time and money.
And this is the key takeaway. This is so important. The long run isn't a specific amount of time, like 6 months or a year. It's a concept. The long run is the point in the future when all your inputs become variable. It's that moment on the horizon when you have enough time to change everything, even the size of your factory.
Okay, so let's fast forward. Our biscuit company made it. They survived the crazy viral rush. Now they're not just thinking about tomorrow, they're thinking long term. They want to grow. And this is where they can tap into one of the most powerful forces in all of business.
This big idea is called economies of scale. It's a fancy term for a really simple concept. The bigger you get, the cheaper it becomes to make each individual item. So by making more biscuits, the cost of each single biscuit actually goes down. It's like a superpower for big companies.
So how does this magic actually work? Well, there are a few key ingredients. First, division of labor. Instead of everyone doing everything, you get specialists. One person only mixes dough, another only runs the oven. They get super fast and efficient. You also get managerial specialization for the same reason. Then there's efficient capital. We'll touch on that in a sec. And of course, a huge one, low-cost inputs. When you're buying flour by the truckload instead of the bag, you get a much, much better price.
And this right here is a perfect example of that efficient capital thing. Let's look at the numbers. Say your small machine costs $1,000 and it makes 1,000 units. Okay, that's $1 per unit. Not bad. But look what happens when you scale up. You can afford a bigger, better machine. It costs more up front, say $4,000, but it's so efficient it can pump out 8,000 units. Do the math. Your cost per unit just got cut in half, down to 50 cents. That is the power of scale in action.
But wait, there's a twist. Bigger isn't always better. There's a danger zone. As a company gets massive, things can start to go wrong. It can become a slow, bureaucratic mess, communication gets terrible, nobody knows who's in charge, and suddenly the cost to make each biscuit starts to creep back up. That's the tipping point, and it's called diseconomies of scale.
So we've talked about the how a business makes things, how it can grow, but that brings us to the biggest question of all. Why? What's the end game? What is the actual point of all this? And for, forever, the answer was really, really simple. Profit maximization. That's it. The goal was to make the gap between your revenue, the money coming in, and your costs, the money going out, as big as you possibly could. End of story.
But we all know it's not that simple anymore, right? A business today might have a totally different goal. Maybe it's all about sales maximization to grab market share from a competitor. Or maybe it's growth maximization, where you sacrifice profits today to get huge for tomorrow. And that's not even mentioning all the other goals. Firms that prioritize social or environmental issues, or cooperatives that exist purely for the benefit of their members.
So really, a modern business, and yes, that includes our little biscuit company that's now a big deal, is in a constant balancing act. It's juggling all these competing goals. How much profit do we take today versus how much do we invest for growth? How do we balance market share against our social responsibilities? It's a complex dance.
You see, from that very first biscuit all the way up to a global empire, business is just a series of choices. So let's go back to that first moment, that viral explosion. It's your company. The orders are flying in. What do you do? What do you prioritize? And more importantly, what would your ultimate goal be?